Welcome, guys. Welcome to Stop Pilgrim.
Yeah,
Our
what's
review
going
on the.
on?
Hope you guys are doing good out there. We're gonna be covering this series. Oh man, blast from the past. Believe it's like 13 years since the movie came out. Was
Yeah,
released.
it's been some time, man. I feel like a lot of people, especially of this generation, they probably like, what the fuck is Scott Pilgrim? Like, I mean, this shit came out like what, 08, 09 around there. It was some time ago, man. It was a really good movie. Because I think a lot of people are aware of aware of the movie more than the actual comics. Because it was a comic first, right? I think.
Right. Yeah. Because and an interesting story is like in the midst of the graphic novel being released, it wasn't even finished until the movie came out. Because it was up to like volume 4, and then that's when while the creator who was making the comic, they asked him to write the rest of the movie, and that's why both of them have two different endings. So that's the reason why the comic finished like late to where the movie came out.
Do you know how
But
many volumes it had? Like, was it actually a long kind of comic book, or was it kind of like a short series? Like,
yeah, it was pretty short. It was like 6 volumes long. Yeah, went up to 6 volumes.
okay,
So yep,
it was
it
relative.
it
It was relatively
pretty
long.
much finished. Yeah, it pretty much finished on like around 2009, 10, like pretty much when the movie came out. So I find that interesting too. The game also came out around that time as well, which I think it also helped, put it on the map. But yeah, like you said, it's mostly known for the movie, as far as like the mass population of people that know about Scott Pilgrim.
Right.
But yeah, it's I'm surprised this series hasn't come out earlier. As big as the fan base growing over time.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
was actually kind of expecting it to be coming back like kind of a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it. We, I'm not excited for it that had come out this year, but it was kind of overdue at this point. I feel like
right,
because it was such a beloved kind of series in a way.
right,
And it does have a pretty big fan base. I mean, and a lot of these actors that actually were on the movie, um, I wouldn't say it really helped. Like, it did, it majorly helped their careers, like push their careers even further. But I feel like before this movie was around, like I didn't really know too much. Like Michael Cera was probably from Superbad because that was Superbad was probably like a little bit before that. But a lot this movie really helped jumpstart like a lot of these actors who I feel like I didn't know before this movie. You know what I mean?
yeah. It has a lot of big actors too. Like you said, Michael Cera, the lead actors as and also the guy that plays Captain America as one of the boyfriends. He's plays one of the characters, and also I didn't even notice this, but the guy that played in the Punisher, one of the Punisher movies, he was actually in there too. And Macaulay Culkin's brother, Kevin Culkin. It's a lot of big actors that was in the initial movie, and now in the series that they got all the voice actors from the movie onto this franchise. So I thought that's pretty cool too. That they brought it around to how it was in the movie, and they pretty much brought them all back.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, yeah, that's pretty rare, especially nowadays because a lot of these actors that's on there, like like recently, she's busy now because she was in the recent movie, The Marvels. Um, Barry Larson, I believe I pronounced her name right. She plays Captain
Captain Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Marvel. Yeah, yes, she was also in there too when she was younger as one of the characters as well.
Really? She was in the
It's like,
movie?
wow.
I don't even remember. I don't recall.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that either until I looked back at the
Who did,
cast members, and I was like, oh, she was in there too.
who did she play? I don't even remember that.
MV Adams.
Oh,
Yeah,
Envy
okay.
Adams. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
Wow, Brie Larson? I didn't even know she was in that movie. It's been a while.
yeah,
It's been a while since we saw Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I really what I could have took away from most of the series was like I like the fact that every episode was named after I think it was kind of like levels in the game, really.
Oh yeah.
Or even just I don't know. I didn't get to read the comic book, guys, but I'm sure like it kept as much close as possible to the comics. I mean, obviously the story arc is probably completely different with a kind of like
Oh
a
yeah.
plot twist. Um, but I mean, I like the titles. The titles kind of, that it's really cool. I like seeing the fight scenes in each episode because it kind of has that versus kind of like a Street Fighter atmosphere going on there. You know what I mean? Like, because it always says like, hey, this, Ramona versus evil ex-boyfriend, whatever the case. I like that. I like that. It kind of felt like for a video game kind of concept, like
Yeah.
it transitions into it really well, and I like that. But what I got away from this series, took away from it mostly, is yeah, this is definitely kind of a whole new take on Scott Pilgrim. Period. Like even from the comics, from what I've heard, right? Because I think we all have like a different understanding of like a different whole story in the comic book. I think the Scott Pilgrim versus the World actual live action movie, I think that followed the comic book a little more, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was kind of, I could be wrong, don't quote me guys, but I'm pretty sure that it was always kind of set like with Scott having liking Ramona and him having to, I guess, like prove his loyalty or him how much he likes her, having to go up against all her ex-boyfriends, right?
Right,
I
exactly.
think
I believe like what made it different in the movie is the very ending. That's because, like I said, the movie started when the just volume 4 came out of the comics, so they didn't have the original ending where how the comic ended. But
right.
because in the movie, he pretty much like spoilers for anybody that didn't see the movie yet, but at the end of the movie, he pretty much gets with Knives, his initial girlfriend from high school. But in the comic, that's he Scott gets with Ramona, and they just go off from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main difference.
Yeah, kind of
There's some
it kind of just seems like, either way, it's almost a win for this guy. it
right,
really almost seems like impossible, but everybody kind of has like, is kind of already, hooked on the fact of it's just Ramona and Scott, because Knives, I mean, he never really kind of like, not to go too much in details, but like he never really cared for her. I mean, I think he appreciated her as a person in general, and of course like nice girl and everything, but he always had his heart set on Ramona. So I think that was kind of always the focus. um but
yeah,
what took a strange turn in this series was and I think everybody kind of wants to talk about it too, um is having to see Ramona having to prove, instead of Scott having verse the world, I'm guessing, it was kind of Ramona's take on like kind of